Hello, and welcome back to my yearly tradition of trying to guess the FRC game for next year. Which essentially, because I don't really know a lot about what the FRC game is going to look like, just turns into me making my own game with the little knowledge I have on the upcoming game. So I'm just going to talk about what I've created. This is a fun little yearly art tradition I do, and a fun little engineering challenge. So I'm just going to talk about the FRC game that I concocted this year. So Rebuilt, what we do know about the actual FRC game is it is a combination of previous elements of FRC games, or at least that's strongly implied through both the teaser and the logo. So what I did is I took elements from a few games, most prominently Steamworks, Stronghold, and Power Up. So the main focus of the game is to take these little yellow balls called remnants and score them in a few places. There are ports in both, I'm calling this the Steam Stack and this the Keep. I didn't want to use the same titles as Stronghold and Steamworks because I was kind of coming up with the visionment that if archaeologists found these structures like later down the road, that they wouldn't know what to call them. So this is the Steam Stack, this is the Keep, and you can score remnants in either of them. The Steam Stack has an upper port and a lower port, and the Keep has just one upper port. And it's for Teleop 2 points for each remnant that goes into an upper port. And for the lower port, it actually isn't any direct points. The remnants go down to the specific alliance that scores them, and they can place them in their arcade for little power ups, which is also kind of my revised version of elements of power up coming back into this game. I guess I'll go over the power ups now. Steam Boost, Keep Boost, and Transform. These are all pretty simple. Steam Boost, just for 30 seconds, multiplies the rate that the remnants are scored in the Steam Stack by 2. So anything that was worth 2 points in Teleop now becomes 4 points. Keep Boost does the same thing, but for the Keep, for 30 seconds. 2 points in Teleop now becomes 4 points for every remnant that passes through here. And Transform is a little different. And by the way, each of these power-ups requires 15 remnants to pass through here to activate. And the little lights signal how much you have stored up for them. And to place the power-ups, you just take the remnants that have come out of here and you put them through one of these holes. There's little sensors in the back that add up the power-ups you would have gotten. So Transform, what that does is, well, to explain that, I have to talk a little bit about something called the Excavation Zone, which is this area down here. And this area is a special area. It's behind the trust structure that each alliance has one. This, in the theme of the game, is an area that is being excavated as we speak, thematically. And you can't pass through here without incurring penalties. This is like a restricted zone. So to get to the loading station, which has a special name that I'll explain in a bit, robots have to go all the way around here or over these bumps. However, with the Transform in effect, they can pass through here. These little lights will light up in the truss for 30 seconds, and robots can now pass through here, which saves them a lot of time and a lot more smoother of an experience. The Transform power-up also does one more thing, but I will get to that in a little bit. So, those are the 3 main power-ups. Something I should mention is I'll start off by going over the ranking points. I kind of have a lot to explain. I'll do that little by little. So one of the ranking points, there is an auto ranking point, similar to Reefscape. That is scored by, during auto, all robots have to leave their embarkment, which is their starting zone of the year, which is just this or this section in red. depending on the alliance. You get 6 points for each robot leaving or embarking in this case, which means they at some point during the autonomous period have left their zone. And points in the autonomous are typically doubled. So this becomes 4 points for every remnant, the steam stack, and the upper port, the keep, becomes 4 points as well. Arcade points are still 1 in the autonomous. And there is no points for directly putting them through the lower port. Points are scored by the alliance using them for power-ups. So, what happens here in the autonomous, for the autonomous bonus, all 3 robots have to leave their embark, and at least 1 remnant has to be scored in each port. That includes the bottom port. So at least one remnant has to be scored in the keep port, 1 has to be scored in the upper steam port, and 1 of them has to be scored in the lower port. As a reminder, the lower port directly doesn't give any actual points away, so it comes up to the referees to check that each alliance has submitted at least 1 through the lower port during autonomous to get that bonus. So if all 3 leave and there's at least 1 in each port, by the end of autonomous, that is the auto ranking point. The next ranking point I'm going to describe is the remnant ranking point. To do that, you have to score at least 40 during the match. This includes the autonomous. At least 40 in the upper port of the keep, and at least 40 in the upper port of the steam stack. So that's in total 80 remnants, which is quite a lot. However, as there was last year, there is a way to shorten this with a co-op bonus. So what I have is on each arcade, these little co-op buttons. If you dedicate 10, similar to Crescendo, except this time it's 10 remnants. If you dedicate 10 remnants that you've put in the arcade to co-op, and both alliances do that, you will score the co-op point, and you will decrease the required amount from 40 for each port into 25 needed to get that ranking point. How the co-op buttons work over here is as these lights start to fill up when you put things through, you can hit the co-op button to transfer all the current remnants you have in that column for co-op. And for co-op, you only need 10. So you can select if you have multiple power-ups stored up, like if you have 5 in boost so far, and 6 in steam boost, and 1 in transform, you could hit the button for each one, and that would auto submit those. It would subtract them and put them in yellow and send that towards the co-op bonus. You can only use each power-up once, but unlike power-up, multiple power-ups can be deployed at the same time and by either alliance at the same time. So that's a little different. The next thing I will explain is this structure called the Agora. And the Agora is kind of an ancient term for like a gathering place, so I decided that it would be a good term for this structure at the end of the match. So this is kind of cool. This is the endgame structure, pretty much. And for the endgame, robots have to see these little ropes that go up through these platforms. Robots have to deploy their mini-bots, similar to 2011. I wanted to bring that element back. They have to deploy their mini-bots up onto these ropes, and they have to climb by t equals 0. They have to be above this little black tape ring on the side. So they have to be deployed onto the ropes and climb up. Robots themselves, the main robots, can't extend more than 3 feet above the starting floor. So that they can't just place it on the high part of the rope. They have to place it on the rope, and then that has to climb up. The other way to score points in Endgame is, well, of course, there's parking in this little area, or the back area. If you park in either the excavation zone or the Agora zone, that is 5 points. But the other way robots can score points is by physically climbing onto these platforms themselves, similar to Destination Deep Space. So they can use the ropes to help pull them up. If they're bumpers by t equals, this is determined by t equals -3. If their bumpers are fully above the platforms, they score points as well. For each mini-bot that is elevated, that is 40 points, and for each robot that is up, that is who has its bumpers above the platforms, is also worth 40 points. So each is equal in worth. A team can actually do two. They can deploy their mini-bot and climb. That in total would be 80 points. You can do one or the other. To get the Agora ranking point, an alliance will need at least 120 points. So that means 3 of any option mix and match. So you could have 2 robots that mini-bots that climbed and 1 robot that is on the platform. You could have 1 robot both climb and release a mini-bot, and then just 1 either climb or release a mini-bot. You need at least 120 points to get that Agora bonus. I thought that was kind of a good cutoff limit. The other thing about this zone in the back, how it does light up during transform, it also will light up during the last 30 seconds of the match anyways. Robots can only deploy their mini-bots during the last 30 seconds unless they have transform activated. If they have transform activated, then they can deploy them during that period as well. And by the way, I think I forgot to mention this. One of the things that keeps robots from not going through this zone when they don't have transform is a tech foul, which is 20 points towards the opposing alliance. And so the rule is that robots can't pass through this zone, such they can't pass through both of these tape lines to get from one side to the other. So one robot can go in, like if they were to retrieve remnants that have fallen in, and go back out, but then they have to go around if they want to go over here. Or from this side, one robot could go in, it could go out. It can't pass from one tape line to another without the transform power-up being active. Now, a few elements I haven't talked about. I haven't talked about this loading station, which I call the Dromos, which essentially is, I looked this up, a little ancient term in, I believe, Greek archaeology for an entranceway or a passageway. So I figured that would be nice. And similar to Steamworks, alliances have these bins that they can just pour remnants in. Each Dromos starts with, I believe, 40. And there are also, the alliance has up to 15 more depending on if preloads are not chosen. Each robot can preload up to 10 remnants at the start of the match. And then after that, there is no limit as to how many they can hold at once. I believe there's something like 180 on the field. I wanted to make them plentiful this year because I did a little calculation with the actual price of the game piece, and I was like, I wonder how many of these game pieces will be on the field and what their size will be, and that is around the calculation I got. So this is my estimate for that. Remnants can also be found on the field in the stockades, which are these little tube structures, which are very similar to Infinite Recharge, actually, the boundaries. They create both an element that the robots have to go over or around when going to the Dromos if they don't have transform activated. They also create a nice holding spot for the remnants at the start of the match, because in Steamworks it took a lot of work for the field resetters to count and get the fuel into different places. This essentially, once there's 40 in each bin on the Alliance, they can just place them in these slots between the stockades, and that will auto make sure that there are enough. When this is filled up, I believe there are 38 here, 10 here, 10 here, and then 18 in here per Alliance. And once those are filled up, then that will be all set for that part of field reset. So that's a nice little, I made it easier for field resets, especially with a lot of game pieces this year. I wanted them to have some easy, there's so much data on this CAD file, it's reloading. Some easy way of gathering and adding up the game pieces before endgame. I mean, before the start of the match, sorry. Let's see, what have I not mentioned? The coolest thing about this year, one of the coolest things, is I actually made the alliances split up on different sides of the field. So, Blue Alliance, if you look, they have 2 driver stations here, and 1 over here. Red Alliance has 2 over here and 1 over here. So, the alliances are divided across parts of the field. Over here, you are very close to the Steam stack and keep of your alliance. And over here, you have a better view of your Dromos and the Agora. And you also have a pretty good long view of both the Steam stack and Agora. So one of the reasons why that exists is to kind of create, instead of having the human players go all the way around to transfer game pieces, I wanted them, especially with the arcade in purpose. Once remnants are placed into the Steam stack or the keep, if the alliance, they go to the opposing alliance, such as if they go in the blue Steam stack, they come to the red alliance for this bin. Very similar to Steamworks. If they don't replace that bin and take that bin and move it to distribute it, the remnants, or if the bin overflows, it will go into this little carrier, which is also the same place where the lower port goes. So these will become available for the other alliance, and they can place them in their arcade for free points. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this. Every remnant in the arcade, regardless of if it's being used for a power-up or not, is 1 point. Even after the power-ups are all used up, the remnants will still continue to score 1 point in the arcade. When they come through the keep, they go down into this little serializer section up here, and then they fall into this bin back here for the opposing alliance to take hold of. Remnants that are also placed through the arcade end up back here as well. And if the opposing alliance does not replace the bin, or if it overflows, then those remnants flow back again to the alliance that originally scored them, and they can continue using them for power-up points. So that is kind of just an incentive to keep remnants flowing back onto the field, as there is no specific amount of remnants that there's a limit to how many that can be behind the alliance station. But if you don't bring your remnants back onto the field, they will go to the opposing alliance at some point. What have I not mentioned? I think that's mostly about it. Oh, protected zones. So, the Agora zone, defined by the stockades and the platform, that's protected. At least that's protected during, well, the whole match, actually. Although, during Autonomous, if the other alliance is risky, they can try to steal remnants from that. The excavation zone is protected. This little area over here called the Dromo zone is protected. This area, the stack zone in front of the Steam stack for each alliance, is protected. If for these protected zones, it works that, like, if a robot contacts a robot whose bumpers are in their respective zone, it's a tech foul. The embankment, where robots embark from, is the starting point for the match, but also is protected as well. So as you notice, there's no really dedicated safe zone for the keep, as there is so for the Steam stack. So to score into the keep protected, robots either have to use the Steam stack, zone, or they have to use their embankment and kind of shoot across. And I wanted to have this so that to encourage, like, teams that get more proficient, to kind of encourage the engineering design of having robots that can change their angle and can shoot into both the Steam stack and the keep from a single point. And that will kind of, that will be very interesting. Also, robots that can shoot into the lower port instead of having to dump them in. That can also be useful in Autonomous to get that ranking point for robots that can't deliver into those ports. These are the sight lines, these things in white. They divide the field into sites. Let me go to Illustrator. Each chunk of the field on the side is called a site and is the alliances. This is the red site. This is the blue site. The things they do is they divide up the autonomous period. So a robot can't go into the opposing alliance's site. Blue alliance can't go in past this line. Well, they can, but they'll get penalty points if they contact an opposing robot during the autonomous period. Same thing with the Red Alliance. If their bumpers are fully over the sight line, anyone can go in this middle zone. The other thing the sights do is, this is very similar actually to Crescendo, is that they mark as points where you can't shoot remnants from beyond these lines. So Alliance can't deliver or can't cause remnants to travel through one site into another area, such as this mid zone. Or they can go like from this mid. They can't cause a remnant to travel from one site into another, or from the mid zone into the site, unless they're in control of them. And that's a complex way of saying a robot from here can't shoot remnants all the way into here without getting a penalty. Robot from here can't shoot into here. For robots to shoot into these ports, they have to have their bumpers at least partially across this line. So that causes them to have to at least travel somewhat across the field to do that. I think that is most, if not all, of the main game. Anything I haven't mentioned yet? I think that's around it. This is just kind of my... I did take a lot of inspiration, as you see, from previous FRC games, because that is going to be, or pretty obviously going to be, a large part of the actual rebuild. So I kind of made these ideas my own. The balls, the remnants, are foam balls, a little bit harder than power cells. Not like plastic quite as much as the fuel cells are. They're kind of like a hard rubber ball. They're 6 inches in diameter. They're the same size that, if you remember all the way from back 1993, the Rug Rage small balls were the same size as this. So those are the game pieces. Hopefully they will be not as difficult to score as the power cells. That's one thing I kind of wanted to work out in the progression of ideas. The other thing I tried to make sure is the power-ups are a little more useful during the match, because there was kind of an idea that during power-up, the power-ups didn't do a huge effect on changing the outcome of the match. It didn't give the lower alliance a kind of a fighting chance. Here, I made them last for 30 seconds, and I think that kind of resolves that issue. Yeah, that's pretty much what my design for this year's, or at least how I would design the game if I was doing it. I'm sure the actual rebuilt season will look a lot different from this. I kind of got lucky last year with my Reefscape design and kind of ended up getting very close to certain parts of what the actual game was, but still being relatively far away. So maybe some elements of this will be similar, but I imagine most parts will be different, unless, of course, I happen to nail it, which I doubt I will. Anything else I haven't mentioned? There are these little serializers that count balls, remnants from both the Steam Stack and the Keep. So it makes jams unlikely, although there is still a way to relieve jams if either of these automated scoring zones do jam up. As a reminder, the lower port for the Steam Stack does not have that serializer, or doesn't even have a counter. Remnants just flow freely into the Alliance's area to use for power-up points. Yeah. There's 32 April tags. I believe we do know that about how many April tags are on the actual field this year, because that's how many are available in the sticker voucher for April tags. So I kind of figured out where these April tags would go. I made sure there's 32 in my prediction as well. There's 3 on each side of the Agora platforms. We have 1 in front of these stockades, and 1 in front of each excavation zone. Of course, there's 1 on the Dromos, 1 for each port on the Steam Stack, 2 for the upper port of the Keep, or the only port in the Keep, and we have 1 over here as well. And yeah, that in total adds up to 32 April tags. So pretty much that is my design for at least how I would design if I were in charge of it, the game of Rebuilt for the upcoming season. Kickoff is tomorrow. This project took me a long time to work on, so I've been rushing trying to get it done before kickoff, and it took me all the way up until the day, until each year I say I'm going to do it quicker. It never happens. I'm very excited for kickoff tomorrow, and I can't wait to see what the actual game looks like. The FRC game designers are much more experienced and much more better than I am. So I can't wait to see the marvelous beauty that they have created for us tomorrow. I wish you all a happy kickoff, and at some point in the description of this video, I will be adding more detailed information about the game, such as specific tech files, specific rules, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hopefully will see you next year for my 2027 prediction. Which I don't know how that will look, but I look forward to it, and I wish you all a happy kickoff.